Welcome back to the Well I Am podcast. My name is Kerry Miller. We are so happy to have you with us. Today, he is quite a phenomenal man with a story, and I'm pretty sure arms that are considered weapons, but we'll get there. Clint Walters, hello, welcome to the show.
Okay, how are you?
I'm really good. It's good to see you.
Likewise.
I have been lucky enough to spend a little bit of time with you before this, where I've come and pretended to train at your gym, and
I train very well, eh?
I do feel
You
like
can bang.
I mean, Mom, you hear that? I can bang. So this is Clint. Clint, for those people who don't know you, just get a little bit of background. Where are you from initially?
So I'm a PE boy, born and bred. Played rugby in PE. Then I got a contract to go play for the Bulls. Moved to Pretoria, went and played for the Bulls. Then got injured, and then got sidetracked with life, and then eventually met my wife, current wife, who was living in Durban at the time, and then decided to move down to Durban and open an MMA gym or fight gym, and that's how I ended up. Yeah.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
All right. So I'm going to take that nutshell and I'm going to crack that nutshell open, and we're going to reverse all the way back to PE.
Okay.
Because I know something about, and I've been lucky enough to be around some well-built men in my life. And what I've noticed with men who outwardly look so great is that often the external is a representative of something internal that needed loving. So what I mean by that is that I'm not trying to make you seem soft here, but like I find that people often will look for some sort of a control or some sort of like self-love, self-worth, and it either comes in the form of overeating and not working out, or being a bit obsessed. And I mean that respectfully, but I mean you look phenomenal, and this obviously doesn't just happen overnight. So childhood, siblings?
Rough childhood. Got siblings. My siblings, it's a complicated story. So I was born in 1975. My sister was born, I think, 1978. But we had different fathers.
Okay.
I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know this till I was about 35.
You didn't know that your dad wasn't your dad until you were 35?
Yeah. I only found out I had my real dad, and then I found out he was alive. Long story, so we'll get there. So
Wow.
So my mom and dad got divorced. I wasn't his child. I was obviously my mother's child. And when they got divorced, I recently found the documentation saying that he fought for custody because my mother was obviously not the greatest mother, which I found out over time. But he fought for custody, and he won custody of me.
And he wasn't even your birth dad.
No. So,
And he won custody over your mom, which says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my mother begged him and pleaded with him to keep me, and eventually gave in. And I stayed with my mother for obviously the rest of my life. It was rough.
And your sister?
My sister, when they got divorced, obviously went with my dad. So she stayed with him.
Oh, because your dad was her
Yeah, I didn't know
dad.
this.
Okay.
I still call him my dad. And he was
Of
an
course.
amazing guy. When he left as well, basically my family disappeared. I had a great grandmother and grandfather that I used to love spending time with, but that was all from my sister's side.
Clint, just a quick one. From a physical space, as a child or a young boy or even a teenager, were you already tall? Were you already
No,
built?
I was a normal little kid.
Okay.
I was a normal little runt. I was medium sized. I think, only when I got to like standard 7, standard 8, what's that grade? I don't even know.
Yeah,
the
grade
grades
9
were.
and 10.
Yeah. Then I kind of hit a little bit of a growth spurt, and that's when shit changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your childhood, you're now living with mom. You're schooling. You finished school?
Yeah, I finished school.
You like quite naughty, or were you?
No, I wasn't. I don't think I was naughty. My mother was very strict, so I grew up in a household where initially I thought I respected my mother, but I feared her more than anything else.
Sure.
So I grew up, I didn't really want to go home ever. I literally just threw myself into sport, rugby, athletics, cricket, swimming, whatever I could do to not go home, that's what I would do. So I just spent hours and hours and hours and hours on the rugby fields, practicing athletics, doing swimming as much as I could. And then obviously I would go home. I was naughty in the sense that I did things because I didn't want to be at home. I didn't like my home environment. So I would walk 15 Ks to the beach. I would hitchhike. I think back then we grew up very differently.
Yeah. But still, mentally, you were trying to remove yourself from that home
Yeah,
environment.
I just wasn't happy, and I didn't enjoy where I was in space. And in my mind, and I always try and explain this to people, like, I didn't know I had a shitty upbringing. I just dealt with what was happening. So it was normal. That I just thought everybody grew up like this. So I dealt with it the way that I deal with everything. And then as you get older, you realize that everybody else has these lives. Like, you go stay over at friend's house, because I went to boarding school. So I went to boarding school when I was about 5, 6.
You were 5.
Yeah. I went to Graham College. Was there for Sabe Standard 1. Then I went to Muir College. So I was in boarding school most of my life.
So which also, look, I'm hearing that. I'm like, that's a little boy to be in boarding school. However, considering what you're saying about mom, maybe it was the better deal for you, but still that's hectic.
Yeah, listen, there was a lot of shit that happened. If we think back, we all come from a different era. So nowadays they would say I was physically abused. I had the shit kicked out of me, hit out of me, hiding out of me by my mother. Back then it was just a hiding. You got hit with anything.
Yeah.
Whatever she could get her hands on,
we've all had that
up against the wall, slapping you. It was so. Back then nowadays they'll call it physical abuse. Back then it was just a normal day at home for me. So that's how we grew up back then. But now in hindsight, you realize, it wasn't that great. But my argument, and I always say this, is it's made me who I am today. So with all the shit that I had, I'm happy with the person I became. So
do you think that if you'd had a softer hand raising you, a more gentle raising without the so-called shit getting beaten out of you, do you think you would have gone into the fighting?
I don't, I think actually the opposite. I'm one of those people who, I'm a very empathetic person. I care about people a lot. I love helping people. I don't pick fights. I don't get into fights. When I do get into fights, you don't want to be involved. I try and stay away from anything. I think since in the time that I've been in Durban, I think I've only hit 2 people. I just don't like fighting.
But are you being clever with your words now because everyone else you've kicked? Or because I've seen you train.
So obviously a lot of people laugh at me when I say this, because what do? I teach. This is what I teach. I teach boxing, I teach Muay Thai, I teach MMA. But it's my passion. It's what I enjoy, the science behind it, the knowledge behind it, all that is what I enjoy. The physicality of it, yes, I love sparring with my guys. I love doing all that stuff. It's amazing.
But what's different from rugby? Hey,
that's the thing. I think I'm a sporty person, and I think, like you said before, with me, what happens is, over the years I've realized I'm very different to most people. So I used to drink and take drugs basically to be more outgoing. So that gave me a personality. I used to be very introverted, very shy, and then with time, that kind of brought me out of my shell. But even to this day, if I don't drink or do anything like that, I'm a very quiet person. I'm a very introverted person. I'm a very serious guy. I love having intelligent conversation. I'll sit and I'll talk for hours about anything, politics, economics. As long as you're intelligent and you've got a brain on you and you're not talking shit, I love a good conversation. But I've realized over time that, that's why I used to drink, and that's why I used to do all those things, because it brings out that happy, fun side of me. So I think in general, I'm a very guarded person.
Okay, makes sense.
So I'm protective over who I am and the things and people around me as well. I'm very guarded I'm very selective over who I spend time with. But when I was partying and doing all that kind of stuff, I didn't really care. I was partying with anybody, anywhere, anytime. Could make great conversation with anybody. I was outgoing. I had millions of friends. But yeah, eventually you start realizing, it's tiring. I don't enjoy that anymore.
This is a really random question, but I just want to ask you, when was the last time you cried?
Oof. I cry often, actually.
Really?
Enough, yeah.
Like joy cry or sad cry?
Well, watching movies with my kids, I'll cry, and then often my daughter and my son will ask me questions about my childhood, and then I'll cry. I have those moments.
I think that it brought me there because, so as I'm listening to you, I'm kind of like in my mind thinking, and then I thought about you. I think you said you were 35 when you found out that your dad wasn't your...
Right, I was around about 35, yeah.
That moment, like, how did that even come about? Is it okay if I ask?
Yeah. My sister my sister actually sent me a message, and because she lives in Southwest Namibia. So she sent me a message and said, listen, by the way, your Charles was not your dad. I'm like, huh?
Wait, is this on a message?
No, she spoke to me.
Oh my God, I was just like,
But
hey,
I mean, my
what's up,
sister
bro,
and I,
by the way?
even though we don't see each other, my sister is an amazing woman. She's like the most empathetic, caring, she's incredible. Fortunately, she didn't grow up with my mother, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but she's amazing. And we stay in touch, but our family is very, very broken. My brother's in Dubai, my other brother's in PE, my sister's in Namibia. So I've also found like I struggle with close family environments. I don't know how to deal with them. So like being married to Mel as well, it's
because they're a tight family.
Yeah, they're very, very tight family. So it's very difficult for me to kind of adapt and get used to it. But I'm one of those guys. I adapt. Anyway, so my sister sent me this message saying, listen, Charles isn't your real dad. And then somehow, I can't remember how I did it. She mentioned the guy's name, and then I got on social media. I wasn't even big on social media then. And through messaging, I messaged around, I can't remember who, how, or what, but one of my old family members from my mother's side got back to me and said to me, gave me some guy's, not the name, but where he was staying or something like that. Then I phoned my mother. She was still alive at the time. So I phoned my mom and I said, apparently my real dad's still alive. And she just sat there and she says, yes.
No.
I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I was like, would you like to tell me his name? If you want to know his name, find out for yourself.
Did she really?
Yeah. So I got on social media and did whatever I had to do and just asked around, and eventually we tracked him down. And he was, his name was Jan Boshoff, proper Dutchie. I'm 100% Dutchman, by the way.
Oh, is this, did you look like him? Like,
no,
not at all.
Not at all. He was a short little dude. To be honest, I didn't really pay much attention.
Because your other dad is your dad in your mind.
Well, he died when I was 6. So even that was strange. So anyway, I tracked him down. He was staying in Fochville in Joburg. Went and visited him. Sorry, I get like emotional.
It's okay.
And went to visit him there, and Mel came with, and we met him. And it was all cool, but when someone hasn't been in your life, it's like all I've ever had from family is bad experiences. So we stayed in contact and messaged. Then he sent me a message wanting to borrow money. So I was like, you know what? It was like $3,000. So I explained to Mel, I was like, he says he's going to pay. And then he didn't pay it back, and then it was just cut ties.
Bro, I'm so sorry.
No, it's life. And then he died, and then my mother died, and my stepfather died, and it was just like everything happening at the same time. And then all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, his whole family wanted to get to know me. And I was like, whoa. I said, I've just gotten rid of all the hassles in my life.
Did it seem like the intentions were pure? Or did it seem more like...
I didn't care.
Okay.
You've been out of my life. Why come out the woodwork now? I've never known you. Didn't know who you were. You've made no effort to get to know me. Now, all of a sudden, I was like, no. I'm happy. I've got my wife. I've got my kids. I've got my life. Just leave me be. And I said it in a nice way, but I was like, I didn't need it at that point.
Do you know if you've got any sisters or brothers from your dad, your biological father?
I think he had other kids. I think he did. Can't remember. Like, I've just switched off from it. I've moved on.
So as you sit here right now, you can feel your energy is really calm and you're grounded, and like you've made some good choices. Yeah. Was there a time when you spiraled a little bit? Have you?
100%. 100%. Like I said, when you when you're slightly different to everybody else, and I suppose it's because of the way I grew up, you look for ways to be like everybody else. So that's how, that's when I started. I didn't drink till I was like 21.
And then you make up for lost time, eh?
Yeah, then it got out of hand, eh? But I was a health freak. For me, sports was everything. I didn't touch alcohol, didn't do anything. Then when I moved to Joburg to play rugby for the Bulls, then I got injured and then got dragged into the nightlife. Started bouncing in Joburg. And we love you a lot. You do look like a scary man. You're a gentle giant, you know what I mean? But it is. I can understand, like, as a bouncer. Did you do anything that would have landed you perhaps a night or two in a place? I've done a lot of bad things in my life, but every bad thing I've ever done has been to help someone. So it's never been a bad thing with bad intentions.
So you're like a gangster Robin Hood.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that people would come to me with problems and I would figure out a way to sort it out. Yeah, the once I went to go collect money for a friend of mine, this guy robbed him of, back then 40,000 Rand was a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think it was about 40 grand.
I still wouldn't say no to 40K right
No,
now, I'll
exactly.
tell you that much.
So I went and spoke to the guy, and I spoke to him nicely. I said, listen, please sort the guy out. You know you've taken his money. And he's like, oh, fuck you, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. So I went down to my car, got my gun, came upstairs, held him at gunpoint, tied him up, took all his office equipment, loaded it in my car. I said, when you've got the money, you call me. I'll come collect the money, and you can have your equipment back. So left, got in my car. He phoned me about 3-4 hours later. And said I must meet him at Cresta. So I drove to Cresta, walked into Cresta. As I walked in, the cop swooped down on me, held me at gunpoint, arrested me. Anyway, it took me to, I think it was Joburg Central or Hillbrow, I can't remember. And I explained the situation to them. I was like, this guy's stolen a shit ton of money from everybody. I just wanted the money back. I said to them, literally took his equipment, and when he bought the money, I was going to give it to him. Yeah, but you held him at gunpoint. Cool. So they called the guy that originally spoke to me, brought him in, and he spoke to the cops and explained what had happened and what the story was. And then they eventually let me go and arrested him. So stuff like that.
So that was your closest to jail time?
Yeah. And then when I was a kid, I did stupid shit, but
Okay.
that was minor. Yeah.
Is it true? So I've only ever heard this, and earlier I made a joke about it, about someone's arms or hands or someone being considered a weapon. Now, considering you... that's what I'm going to ask you though, because of what you do.
I've also heard it, but
Is it a real thing? Because I know that apparently if someone's a fighter or if they're a trained fighter, your hands are considered weapons.
well, I think in America maybe you could say that, but I think in general, if I did have to get into a fight with someone and I hurt them, I would be in deep shit, because obviously I train.
Yeah.
So I need to be more aware of my skill set. I need to be more aware of my ability to hurt someone, which is half the reason I don't get into fights. It's I have this discussion with people all the time. It's not about the hitting someone. It's when they fall. So if you hit someone, it's their head hitting the concrete or the pavement, or that's the most dangerous part. So if you hit someone, the very slim chance you're going to kill someone with a punch. But if you hit them and they fall down, the way they fall is where the damage comes. Back of the head on the concrete, back on the head on whatever. So the few times that I have hit someone, weirdly enough, I've always calculated where they're going to land.
Okay.
So I've never ever hit someone that they fall backwards. I either hit them with a flatty to the side, so they go that way, or that way. Like if there's concrete this side and grass this side, I hit them to the grass side.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm very polite when it comes to those things.
Excuse me, sir.
I take a lot
Soft
into
landing coming. Okay,
I take a lot into consideration. Yeah.
Being the Well I Am podcast, we're also looking at wellness and all the things, so mental health, emotional health, but also like your nutritional health.
Yeah.
You look away, but I know that there are people that look really healthy that don't eat healthy.
Yeah, 100%.
What is your vibe when it comes to, I know you say you're not really a drinker as in an alcohol drinker, but what is your vibe when it comes to your daily nutrition, or like how do you eat? Are you like all the eggs all the days?
So now we can move away from the emotional stuff.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll bring you back there
I've
if
been
you
like
want.
dragging myself in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So yeah, no, obviously this is my life. Fitness. I've been training fighters for 13 years. I've had domination. I've been in the fitness game now for 28 years as a trainer. I was a gladiator.
Stop. Right there.
Collaborate, analyst.
You were a gladiator.
Yeah.
Like on Gladiators,
Yeah.
that show
Yeah.
where you used to do the things against the contestants.
Yeah.
Was it a real show though? I always wondered like how much was staged.
No, it was real. It was real until one of the contenders would get far ahead on points. Then they would ask us to allow the other person to kind of catch up. My problem was I was very competitive, so
You had no off switch.
Yeah, I kind of I got into so much shit. Fuck me, I got into trouble. I hurt so many people. I think I hurt more contenders than all the other gladiators put together in that show. I was called in all the time to take it easy.
Because you go one against the other, hey?
Yeah, and the thing is, when we did gladiators, we would teach them. So everybody has their strengths. So obviously I was powerball was my main thing. Now where you tackle the guys,
Oh, gosh.
And I played pro rugby, so you can imagine how that worked out for everybody. So we would train the guys, and one of the first rules we tell them is, guys, don't do this because you can get hurt. And for some fucking reason, every single time, there'd be some guy per show that would do exactly what we tell him not to do. Do not run straight at the Gladiator. Yeah. Broken ribs, dislocated collarbones. And I always get into shit because I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. So, yeah, needless to say, I got into shit a lot, all the time.
So did you eventually leave by request, or was
Oh,
it
no,
just
yes,
over
there
it?
was... Listen, my life's like a soap opera. You don't even understand.
We have time, Clint.
No, we don't. So like I said, I used to party a lot and I used to get up to a lot of shit. And at that point in time with Gladiators, I was getting up to a lot of shit as well. And once or twice I did a show under the influence.
Oh, man. Okay.
So they busted me the once and they did a blood test and they came back and they said, ooh, well, they didn't really say anything. They just didn't allow me to do that show.
And I presume it wasn't because you'd had a few beers.
No, it was actually, weirdly enough, I was trying to take sleeping tablets so I could go to bed, and that took too many. And I got there and I was like a zombie. And yeah, well, obviously that was because I'd been partying that I was taking the sleeping tablets. But yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm a good boy now.
Yes.
And yeah, so that was already, I mean, yeah, that was already on the cards. So I was a bit of a loose cannon. So what happened was they wanted to bring in some new gladiators because we'd been around for so long.
Yeah.
So they sat us down and they said, listen, we're going to bring in some new gladiators. Well,
what was your gladiator name?
Blade.
Blade? Were you Blade?
Yeah.
Oh, Blade, guys. Blade.
So anyway, so I said to them, I was like, well, do you know who you're going to get rid of? Because they said, we've got to get rid of some. We've got some coming in we want to get rid. So I said, well, who are you going to get rid of? We don't know yet. We're going to see. So I said to them, listen.
Oh, that's not cool.
Well, it was, you know what? The writing was on the wall for me. As if they had kept me, I would have been like amazed. Because I was hell on wheels.
But also, not to play psychologist here, but we still, no matter how old we are, we're still cruising with that 6-year-old version of ourselves inside of us. And considering what we've just spoken about, there was a part of you that was just 100% I'm the one who's going to be rejected or let go. 100%. And so you probably like, well, I'm not letting someone else reject me again. No, fam.
Yeah, I've always been like it. I do what I want to do. I've never been a go with the crowd kind of guy. So even when I'm with people and they're like, oh, let's do this, I'm like, I don't feel like it. And then I'll walk off on my own. I'll go do my own thing. I've always been like it. I'm that guy that you'll see sitting having lunch alone in a restaurant.
But it's also a safety. It's a safety because.
But it's I think because I grew up on my own. My brothers only came along when I was like 14 or 15. They were born.
Okay.
So I grew up on my own. Being on my own is normal. It's just who I am. It's never been a problem for me. Like I know a lot of people that just cannot be on their own.
Oh,
I love being on my own.
That's sad though.
I love it. I read, I research. That's what I do in my spare time.
It's quite a mindful thing though to get to a point like that where you are. But I know I've taken you off track again. So we're gladiating. At this point, I don't presume your nutrition was of much thought.
Listen, I was still training hard. I mean, I still had to stay in shape. I mean, you're doing gladiators. You can't look like I was in good shape.
Yes, but
I actually don't know how I did it.
But that's what I was to say. But look, this is a few years back. You still had like a 20s energy, hey?
I think it was like half my life ago. I think I was about 25.
Yeah, so 20s energy is a whole new thing. We know that.
I don't know how I actually stayed in that shape. Honestly, the way I was partying and I mean, sometimes I look at pictures and I'm going, you're actually quite, don't know how, but
like you're not bad now either, okay, just saying for a friend.
But now I actually have to work my ass off. Back then, there's no ways I was working as hard as I am now.
No, but this is the thing, you know how many people I know in their 40s that are like, no, once you're over 30, that's it, it's impossible to that. No. And I'm like, have you seen this, man? I mean, you're in your 40s, this is what you look like.
49, almost 50.
But that's what I'm saying. For anyone who's sitting watching this going, I'm 40 something, there's no way. I'm like, are you joking? Like this is happening. How do you eat, honestly?
Normally I'm because I'm so active with what I do. I train people every day of my life. Martial arts, I'm kicking the bag, punching the bag. I mean, my calorie expenditure is super high. But now at the moment, I'm going through a bit of a, because of what I do, it's a lead by example kind of mindset I have at the moment. So I've made a lot of adjustments to my nutrition, very, very high protein, After my protein, I can have whatever carbs I want, but I'm normally too full.
What protein do you choose for yourself? Is it do you mix
I don't
it
really
up?
care.
Or?
Yeah, chicken, fish, meats. Doesn't really bother me, whatever. If I don't reach my quota by the end of the day, I have protein shake. But that's my number one thing at the moment. The thing with training and science is when I qualified as a trainer 28 years ago, which was 1996, the science was different.
Yeah, big time.
Like people, science changes. Knowledge is ever evolving.
Yeah.
So currently I do a lot of research. I stay on top of the latest science on nutrition, on training techniques, all of that stuff. Because at the end of the day, when whatever I do, I take seriously. Like when I do something, I do it properly, and I want to be the best at it. I might not be the best, but I want to be the best.
We're going to try.
I literally will do whatever it takes to become the best at whatever I'm doing. And for me, that is my number one priority. So when I train my clients, I've got to give them the best treatment and the best results that they can get. I suppose I've got a very unorthodox way of training. Like a lot of my clients that come to me with weight loss, I tell them, listen, for the next 3 months, we're going to put on weight. Every single one of them. We're going to bulk up. We're going to put muscle on your body. I'm going to teach you how to eat. I'm going to show you how to eat intelligently. They send me pictures of their food. I teach them how to adjust. And after 3 months, when they understand nutrition and their body's put on a bit of muscle, then I say to them, okay, now we change it up. So now we adjust the nutrient. Now we adjust your nutrition, change up the training slightly, because the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn.
Yeah.
So the key is let them get comfortable with what they're doing. Training, putting muscle on is easy because you eat more.
Yeah.
So get comfortable with the training while eating more. You don't want to be training and starving yourself because your energy levels are going to suck, and that's what a lot of people do. So I kind of get them to a point: eat, get your calories in, train hard, put some muscle on. For 3 months we do that. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
But while we're doing that, I'm adjusting and tweaking and making adaptations. And then after 3 months, we say, okay, cool. Now we start leaning out. So like normally by September, it's lean time. So currently all my clients are bulking.
Ready for summer.
Correct. September, we start leaning for December.
I know we've got so little time left, but some of my girls, this weekend we were out and I was telling them that I was interviewing you today. And the question the girls had for you was if a woman had to come to your classes or to train with you, because obviously we know the kind of training you do is that like fighting S style, etc. They know that it's really going to make their bodies look away. The girls want to know, is the training with you, could it help us feel more confident, just like as women in the world
100%.
who might have to protect ourselves? And so my question is like, can your training
100%.
be used to actually protect?
Well,
or is it more like a gymming train?
No, the reality, like the training that I do is everything is about learning the skill set. I don't do the shit for fitness. When people phone me and they go, I want to do Muay Thai. Okay, I say to them, do you want to do it for fitness or do you want to do it because you want to learn how to fight? Because there's people way cheaper than me that can make you fit.
Okay.
If you come to me, I'm going to teach you how to fight. I'm going to teach you how to make it practical. You're going to know how to knee, elbow, punch, and defend yourself.
Hopefully you never have to use it.
100%, but it's about
nice
building
that
the
you
confidence
can.
as well. So with all my clients, it gets to a point where we do light sparring, we get them comfortable with contact, even with the pad work, I hit them with the pads. And what people don't understand when it comes to avoiding bad situations, it's the way you present yourself. The way you carry yourself is what's going to prevent a bad situation.
Sure.
If you walk around with your shoulders slouched and you don't believe in yourself, you will get attacked.
You're a target.
They will take advantage of you. If you walk around with your shoulders back and you're confident and you've got your eyes on the prize and you're looking for threats, those threats won't come for you because they've already been spotted. They think they have. And that's what the training does, is it makes you constantly aware. That's what people don't understand. It's not about the fighting itself. It's what comes with the fighting.
Sure. Very
It's
well
the
said.
alertness, it's the attention and the confidence. When you walk around, if you've been doing Muay Thai for a year or 2 years, you walk around with not a care in the world. You believe you can look after yourself. Even if you're not that great, you think you can. And that's all that matters.
And that's what you're putting out. That's the energy that you're
100%.
putting out.
That's what matters.
Clint, so if someone wants to get hold of you, if they're interested in maybe joining, I don't know if you've got classes and privates or just privates.
Predominantly privates now, yeah.
So then how does one get hold of you?
I'm at Virgin Active Lelucia at the moment. I've sold the gym. I work from there. I do everything, boxing, Muay Thai. I teach MMA from there. I do the resistance training, weight loss,
Must you
muscle
be a
gain.
virgin?
Yeah, you need to be a virgin
Not just
member.
a virgin, but
You
just
do need to
only
be a virgin.
virgins can come and train with you.
We accept everybody.
And so you've got to be a Virgin Active member
Yes,
to come
yeah.
to you. Okay.
Yeah. And then, they on social media, it's Coach Grizz Mind Body. Well, that's basically it.
I know, I'm sure people have got lots of questions for you, and I know that I know you look away, but you are very approachable, and you love a hug, hey? Love a hug.
From you, yeah. You don't give me an option.
He doesn't. He hates
just
hugs. And I will continue to hug you for the end of time.
That's okay.
And thank you so much for sharing your story with us, really.
Almost brought me to tears a couple of times today.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I've got some nice collagen bars for you outside.
Oh, good. I need it.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.